Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. I hope everybody is having a pleasant morning. I really do. So, we're going to go over something that I saw on MSNBC. And one thing it does, it shows us how much.
Now, Congressman Stephen Horsford, chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, who was also at that White House.
Let me remove that for a moment. It just goes to show you how much they avoid the things that we are talking about on social media. You know, the reparations, qualified immunity, a crime bill. And it tells me when I watch this, I'm starting to believe they do know what the issues are, but they're being directed to avoid the things that we are talking about on social media. They don't want any responsibility. And ladies and gentlemen, they're going to have to pay attention. Thank you, Patricia Drive, for the super sticker. And thank you, HD, for the super sticker. And when you see them always gravitating to other things and not the things that we are talking about, it tells me they are doing that on purpose. And the reason why they are doing it on purpose is because they don't want to have to deal with it. They don't want to, have to come to us and say, no, you can't have those reparations or you can't get certain things. And we know that is the main thing they're trying to avoid at all cost. they don't wanna tell you. I'm sorry about this. I'm just trying to get everything set up on the back end. It just seems like they are going out of their way and then keep telling us that we are concerned about voter rights, and no, we are not concerned about that. Or we're concerned about, or we're so stupid, we don't know what Joe Biden has done. Trust me, if we don't see it, we know nothing was done. All right. And why is it that we're being told what was done during election time when you had all the time in the world to tell us all these great things that he's done? Or what I say, great invisible things that he has done because nobody sees it, right? So, but they want us to believe all this great stuff has happened and it's just gone under the radar for most of us. And it's a lie. It's a lie. They haven't done no great things for us. And this is where we need to push everything back hard. Don't come to us telling us all these great things, and all of these great things apply to everybody and not just us. Or voters' rights. We have never been stumping hard on social media for voter rights. We haven't done that. You know, and it's almost like they're trying to pull things out of their butts to address. And I do believe they know what the concerns are. And they know they have not been focusing on us over these last, what, 4 years. They haven't been focusing on us or dealing with our issues. Every time they have to deal with us, it's always the same thing, what they can't do, what they couldn't get done, what they just can't do. Well, we can't tell, nobody's going to do. Why is the conversation like this for us, but no one else? You never go in front of these other groups and tell them what they can't get and what you can't get done for them. They just exclusively do that to our people. So I want you to listen to this video. These folks met with folks at the White House. And it's amazing because even when you got a panel of all Black people, they still won't address the issues that we are talking about on social media. They come together and do everything they can to avoid the big reason why Joe Biden is tanking among Black voters. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we will talk about it. Here. All right. Please give me a 1 if you can see the screen. And thank you for the super chat, dark skinned brother. I hope this is clear enough for them. No reparations check, no Black vote. Bottom line, you ain't never lie. All right. Thank you, everybody.
And joining me now, Congressman Stephen Horsford, chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, who was also at that White House meeting, Cornell Belcher, MSNBC political analyst, pollster, and Democratic strategist, and Latasha Brown, co-founder of Black Voters Matter. Thank you all very much for coming to the Sunday Show. Congressman Horsford, you also attended that White House meeting. What more can you share about what was discussed?
Well, look, thank you for having me on, Jonathan. I think the Chairman Harrison laid it out well. Look, the Black voters are the base of the Democratic Party, and we are the voters that secured the historic win for President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. So it's imperative that the party, the president, this government, and the private sector included do what they need to do to ensure that Black voices are heard in the federal government, on Capitol Hill, and in the boardrooms. And that's something the Congressional Black Caucus is working on every single day because we understand that Black lives matter, and so do our voices when it comes to our democracy.
Mm-hmm. All right, Cornell, you are the pollster, and you pointed out on Twitter that there is a false narrative being pushed by the media that Black men are embracing Trumpism. I find that hard to believe. Explain.
why you find it hard to believe is it's in the data, right? If you look at over the last 4 decades, Black men voting pattern has been fairly consistent, right? Going back to '76, you've got 14% of African Americans African American men who vote Republican. And if you look at the validated research of voting that Pew does, look, in 2022, 6% of African American men voted Republican. So I think there's a lot of hay being made about some data from polls that are actually not representative. But I've also seen this before. So I'm always suspect of why you're trying to drive a wedge between Black men and trying to set Black men up as scapegoats. When you look at actual voting, not the polls, but actual voting, there's only a 7% difference between how Black men vote and Black women vote. It is the narrowest difference between any of the major demographic groups. So the pick on Black men, like Black men are just dramatically different than Black women, is a false narrative. Now, let me lean into what the chairman had to say, right? And the truth of the matter is, Congressman, Chairman Stephen Horsford, they have fought and passed a lot of great legislation that impact African Americans, particularly African American men. The problem is, Capehart, is when I sit in focus groups, the African Americans, particularly African American men, they have no idea. They have no idea that criminal justice reform was passed. They have no idea that voting rights was passed, and they fought so hard for it. And to your question that you gave, Chairman, the chairman, DNC chairman, is what I would say is that not only must you say that we fought to get these things passed, Black men, you have to use your power to actually punish those who are standing in the way of getting these things passed. It's a messaging and a resource conversation. And I would argue that we have not spent enough resources actually messaging specifically to African Americans, particularly African American men.
And I just want to be clear. When I said I didn't believe it, I didn't believe that Black men would support Trumpism. I'm with you. I'm with you on that, Cornel. Please, internets, don't at me. Just to be clear. Now, Latasha, you are in it. In Black Voters Matter, you are in it. You are in the community. You are talking to folks. You are hearing from them. Why is there this big drop from the 87% of Black vote that the president got in 2020 to seeing 62% in that Morning Consult Bloomberg poll? Is it a real thing that the president's hold on Black voters is slipping?
I think Biden has a burden that's bigger than Biden. And what I mean by that is that Black voters, when I'm talking to Black people, they're very concerned about the environment. It's not just in what has been passed. People are saying, what are you going to do for me now? In addition to that, there's a lot of, when we know that a lot of young voters and first-time voters engage in the process because they wanted to see criminal justice reform. That simply has not happened. We also knew that a lot of people that we talked to were interested in voting rights and making sure voting rights legislation was passed. That hasn't happened. In addition to that, there has to be the metrics. I think there's a disconnect in terms of the metrics in which sometimes the party uses as the metrics of success and how people see success. So while there is a low unemployment rate, there's a lot of economic anxiety among Black voters that I'm talking to that are interested in literally what does this mean economically in this kind of environment where they're seeing the rise of racism, when they're seeing the destruction of affirmative action and those kind of programs, that leads a certain level of uncertainty of what our economic future is.
Latasha, let me stick with you before we go to a break. The President Biden's mantra, and I think it's a terrific mantra, don't compare me to the almighty, compare me to the alternative. But if that alternative is Trump or any Republican, given all the things that haven't happened from the Black voters' perspective, is there any way that those voters would either vote for the Republican, or is the bigger danger they stay home?
I think the biggest danger is staying home. I think that Black voters are actually more sophisticated than the media likes to give us credit for, that we're very pragmatic voters. And so at the end of the day, will there be a run to Trump? Absolutely not. I think what we'll see is people be so discontented with the process that they're so frustrated that they'll disengage. And so that's the bigger issue. And I think there are three things that we got to do. One, it has to be more money. You have to make sure that they have a message. And I think I agree with Cornel exactly, that there has to be a message that's tailored directly to certain constituency groups. And that you have to make sure that you're lifting up, you have your messengers who is actually giving the message. When we're looking at television ads, that's not going to get it. That is not where a lot of people in the communities that we're talking to get their news from, or actually get the newest information around what Biden has done. And I think that those are going to be the three things that he's going to have to do going forward to get the bill to support that.
Okay. So you heard they really, in my opinion, said a bunch of nothing. I don't know why when Black folks go on TV, they must give them a script and tell them what to say, because I'll be darned, y'all, if every time I see them on TV, they're talking about voter rights. And I have yet to get on a video, within our circle and hear people talking about voter rights. We're not, that's not our thing, And even when you put an all Black panel together, They can't form their lips to say reparations. They can't form their lips to say crime bill or form themselves mouths to say anything, any of the issues that we're concerned about. Qualified immunity. They're not talking about a crime bill. They're not talking about reparations. They're not talking about anything. Everything they brought up, where's the issue? You got a panel of four black people and they did not bring up no black agenda. I guess this is the Democrats' goal, is to avoid the things that we're talking about at all cost, because that's what it looks like. Yeah, I mean, they're not talking about nothing. And see, now Joe Biden is concerned about the battleground states that he held back in 2020 that is gravitating towards Trump. And he wants to win those black voters over. Well, you can't win them over if you're not talking about the things they're concerned about. And it just seems like the Democratic Party can't bring themselves to discuss the things that we are concerned about. They'll get in front of you and talk about immigration before they talk about a black agenda. They will. You know, we hear more chatter about the war than we hear about a black agenda. Those people that are warring, the vast majority of them can't even vote for the Democrats. I'm talking about your Ukrainians, your Russians, your Palestinians, and even a lot of those Israelis over there. They don't all vote for these folks. Maybe, it's just like any other group. You got some people that vote, you got some that don't. But the majority that he is concerned about, the immigrants, the war, a lot of these folks can't even vote for Joe Biden. But if you say black agenda, in fact, they can't even say black agenda. They can't even say it. So what does that tell you when you got an all black panel and they won't even discuss the topic of a black agenda? To me, this would turn me off even more. It would give me even more of a reason for not voting Democrat. Yeah, they that's all they want to talk, David Sheldon. Voter rights. When the hell are we talking about voter rights? Mike C, voter rights is a scam for illegal immigrants. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, if they can get them to vote, they would they would run and push the legislation so they can vote. But most of the people that come south of the border, they tend to be more Republican than Democrats. So I don't think they would get the results they're looking for, even if they allowed them to vote. So, no matter what they're failing to do when they are discussing the politics of the black community and black voters, we just can't change course. And it just goes to show you, to me, the longer they avoid the topics that we want to hear about, the more it's demonstrating that all this time they have never cared about the black community. And all the time that our people have been voting, they have never, ever cared about the black community. They'll care about people that can barely vote for them over us. And, you know, one thing that is true, that first rep that spoke, he said, the black vote, he pretty much summed it up, is the backbone. It is. They're not going to win in 2024 without the black vote. Y'all like this? I put Joe Biden in my AI. Joe Biden's in the middle of an angry black mob. I love it. So Anyway, this just goes to show you how far removed politics are from a Black agenda. It really is. And they're demonstrating it. When you put all Black people on and they can't mention what we're concerned about, I mean, what is it? Are you telling them behind the scenes that if they bring up these issues, there'll be backlash? It's got to be something. It's got to be a reason why they won't talk about it, other than we know they're just anti Black. I mean, you can have anti Black people with blackface. We see it all the time. In fact, in this society, those are the ones they prop up the most. Thank you, Libra Justice. You said they would rather go down in flames before they will do anything for us. You're right. That's true. Hmm. Up next, my uncle says the same thing. He is 78 years old. And when we had a conversation about a year ago, I talked to him at least once or twice a month. And he told me, even when he was a child, he's 78 now. He said they were telling him that we were 12% of the population. And now what do they say? We're 13%. My uncle said there's no way these numbers they're giving us can be right. And I said, I know it's never been right. It's never been right. But they are the gatekeepers of the numbers. So we already know they lie about everything. So of course they're never going to tell us what the real population is. But I have a feeling it's going to come out sooner or later, and it's not going to resemble anything that we're being told at all. It's not going to resemble nothing we're being told. If anything, they could be flipping the switch on us. They could actually be 13%. I'm not kidding. They can actually be 13%. And the reason why I'm saying this is because if you notice, anybody that comes from overseas, they're all slapped into that white population. So, what we're looking at when it comes down to their numbers are not true numbers. You wouldn't bulk your numbers up with all kinds of foreigners unless your numbers weren't there at all. I'm just saying. Well, yeah, yep, it's already that way among the children. So the figures they're giving us are way off. They really are. Mhm. I mean, look, everything else has been flipped on us, right? Aren't we told that our skin is a curse and their skin is what you aspire and what you want? And we know that can't be true. These suckers burn all up in the sun. We know that can't be true. I mean, everything is backwards. It's almost like everything about us, they have robbed and taken for themselves, and everything negative about themselves they put on us. So would it be far-fetched that they're really the ones that are 13% of the population? I'm just saying, y'all, nothing we get up in this society is the truth. Everything is bold-faced lies. And some of them will get mad at you if you don't believe the lie. If you blatantly don't believe it, you're not even telling the truth, and you're upset that I won't believe your lie. That says it all right there. hmm So we shall see. 2024 is really not that far off, and we shall see what happens over the next year. You know, I'm seeing a lot of interesting things online. People are projecting Joe Biden will lose. I saw one video where somebody said they don't think the election is even going to happen. And I mean, it's just interesting, the different theories that people have out here on what they see is going to happen. But I wouldn't be disappointed if Joe Biden was a one termer. I mean, look at all the destruction this man has done all the way up until this time. Well, yeah. Asha son. Yeah, I heard about Texas making it illegal for immigrants to come into their state from across the border illegally. Shoot, they need to adopt that in all 50 states. So, y'all, I'm not going to keep you any longer. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll definitely do this again with another topic. So, please enjoy the rest of your day, family. And let me just make sure before I go. Make it make sense. Thank you for becoming a channel member. Again, thank you, Patricia Dry. Thank you, HD. Thank you, Dark Skin Brother. Thank you, Mike C. And thank you, Libra Justice, for all of your donations. I deeply appreciate it. Shalom, family.